Hello, Jamie for Inky and Scrappy, joining you today with Crescent Creations Design Team Make for December 2022. I am using a bunch of products from Crescent Creations today, as well as some stamps and dies that Crescent Creations also carries from Fawn. So I'm using their red glitter stock, well, their holiday glitter pack. So that red glitter stock, the green glitter stock, the holographic paper, the black shiny cardstock, and then I'm bringing in the Christmas palm tree die set, as well as the beachy Christmas stamp and die set. So I'm going to start with die cutting all of my pieces out and then getting them all assembled, or mostly assembled. So with the glitter stock, it is a super heavy stock glitter stock, so either run it through your die cut machine, depending upon your die cut machine. I have an older Vagabond, and so I did not run this one through with a piece of printer paper underneath it, but that probably would have helped get that cut a little bit cleaner. I just ran it through twice, and it seemed to do a lot better this time than the last time I did it when I didn't do the second die set through. And then I'm going to make my palm tree here. So it is the bigger one, and yes, I went all glittery and glitzy on my palm tree, and then using that holographic paper for my ornament strings here, and then also I will use them for my Christmas tree lights. And I was planning on going every other, or like green, red, and holographic, and then I just decided, I liked that holographic touch to them, and so they look, I guess, like white lights. So I did end up die cutting that again, and then I just took out one of those envelopes from Crescent Creations, and I put my extra die cuts in there that I don't end up using. I will use them somewhere along the line. Maybe not this Christmas, but next Christmas or throughout the year. I'm going to try to get some Christmas creations done throughout the year this coming in 2023. And then I just kind of tacked it down in a couple of spots. I was trying to figure out how to wrap it properly so you get all the lights without, the other ones. And you will see me kind of wiggle this back and forth. And yes, that glue needs, so I'm using glitter art glue to adhere all of it together. I will say that you do have to let it sit and dry because of that glitter cardstock. I could have used a dry style adhesive, but I like once that glitter art glue is dry, it's adhered for life, or it's a super strong adhesive, whatever, permanent, maybe more permanent, I guess you could say. And then I just flipped my tree over to add in those ornaments. So are they all hanging straight and such? Probably not, but I wasn't overly concerned with it because they just add that pop of color to that green tree that I wanted. And then because this is going to be, okay, so my original thought was not a peekaboo pop-up. I was planning on just doing a simple A2 style card, and then I decided I wanted to do a little bit extra. So I did die cut all of the main two pieces from the palm tree from some heavyweight cardstock because it's going to be sitting up in the open, and I want it to have some extra stability there. So just adding that extra layer of die or extra layer of cardstock behind that die cut palm tree really helps to stabilize the whole piece, and I don't have to worry about it tearing or falling apart. And then I have not done a platform or a peekaboo pop-up for quite some time. So, you're going to have to learn with me again, right? Because I don't ever rewatch anything. I just wing it and call it good. So I did cut this one, or the peekaboo pop-up 3 times. So once from that watercolor wishes paper, and then once from their 6x6. I think it was an old winter remix pack, using a wavy border die for the waves in the back, and then I did a brown I want to say garbage bag, but it's not. It's a craft cardstock. There we go. The third time, and then just used that wavy border die that comes with that set to make my sandy hill there. And then I'm going to color all of my images with some Ohuhu markers. I am using the 320 bullet nib Ohuhu set. I didn't write anything down. These are the colors that I have been using lately. So if you're interested in the color combos, you can check out my blog post for, not this blog post, but the past blog post for that color map. I do have those on there. So it's going to be whichever ones I used the last time I was doing Christmas cards. And so I'm just doing some super simple coloring. Some of them I only used one marker and just did a double layer to get that deeper shade on the outside. And so I did end up bringing in some darker greens here. And some of these are my older ones, so I was pulling from whatever was on my desk or close at hand. So I will color most of them coordinating, kind of trying to get it to coordinate with my palm tree there. And then I was trying to decide if I wanted to do some of the other little pieces in there. And I kept it fairly simple for my images, and then I used the coordinating dies to cut those out. And then I'm going to bring in those little sandy little hills and speckles from that beachy Christmas set and add a little bit of depth and dimension, or a little bit of interest to that sandy beach hill scene there. Just randomly stamping throughout to give it a little bit more of that beach feel. And then of course there is that little tiny heart in here, and so I'm just going to come in and do that as well. And this is with the crunchy leaves from Fawn. And then I will also use that open style heart. And then I'm bringing in Hero Hues Unicorn ink. Any white ink would work for this one, any white pigment ink. And then I'm just going to add some white hearts as well. So instead of doing this flatter that I usually like to do, I just thought I'd switch it up a little bit and do some stamping for that background paper, or to add a little bit more to that background paper. And I haven't done I told you I haven't done one of these for a while, so I'm still not totally comfortable with where each one of them is. So I kind of was playing with it off camera for a little bit, and I was thinking this one was going to work. And it doesn't end up putting it where I want it. And so you will see me do it this way, and it's all trial and error. So I did just come in with some dry adhesive. It makes it easier to remove it than if I was using a liquid adhesive. Although don't worry, because you're going to see me pull it apart once I have the liquid adhesive on there, because I changed my mind. It happens. So I'm looking to see where it's going to pop up, and if I like where it's going to pop up. I'm thinking it's okay. Originally in my head, I was planning on putting the palm tree over on the left-hand side of the card. And I realized I wasn't going to be able to get it over on the left-hand side of the card with the way I had it folded. If I would have folded it backwards, or done it backwards, so I would have had the little flap on the other side, or the full panel flap on the other side, I could have probably left the palm tree on the left side, or put the palm tree on the left side. But because I didn't, I ended up modifying my plan a little bit here. I don't think things through all the time when I do them. I just create. So I thought I was good with this one. And so I was like, okay, I think we're good. Because I was still planning on putting that palm tree on the left-hand side. So I'm going to put my Santa on top of my surfboard here. And I kind of want him to ride that wave. So I don't want him, I'm strategically placing him where I think I want him. And then I will add that on with some dry adhesive just to give it a shot to make sure that it's where I want it to be. And then by using a coordinating pattern paper with where that Peekaboo pop-up arm is going to come up. It kind of blends in to that background a little bit better. You could also do an acetate pick there, as Jennifer McGuire has shown in some of her videos, and that would just be a matter of putting a piece of that acetate on the end, cutting your arm off lower, and then putting that acetate pick on it. You can't make the whole piece out of acetate. It's just not going to work because you need it to have a little bit more flexibility and movement there. How do I know? Because I've probably already tried it off camera. And then I'm still not 100% in love with that placement there. Because that palm tree is going to cover up Santa if I leave him where he's at, I decided to go in with that shortest arm. And so by using that dry adhesive, I'm able to just pop it off fairly fast and then just try the next one. So I do die cut, usually more than one, just because I want to make sure. And I have a couple of them on my desk already. So I had the largest one on my desk. So I tried that one off camera and I didn't like the placement of that one. And that's how I ended up using the middle one, thinking it was going to give me a good enough, far enough over one. But it didn't. So then I just, reevaluated and used that one that's the shortest arm there. And then once I make sure that I'm going to have it glued right, so the arrow pointing towards where your panel is, so the side that's open right now, that arrow is pointing towards that bigger chunk. At least that's how I remember to do it. I'm sure everybody has their own ways. And so I did have a little bit of adhesive that flew out or kind of flowed out, so I did end up picking that up or picking that off a little bit once it was all assembled here. Now the other thing you are going to see me pull this apart. Does not have anything to do with that Peekaboo pop-up feature. It has to do with me not lining it up perfectly. And so I will say this, if you are going to attach it, make sure that you attach it that it is square. So I'm just going to pull this up and then I'm going to flatten everything out so that when I re-glue this here, and nobody's going to know that I pulled it apart and re-glued it here, but I wanted to make sure that it was going to lay all the way flat. So when it's all the way open, it's flat. If you don't get it perfectly, it's going to kind of bubble a little bit. It's not that it's going to hinder it. It just doesn't look as, put together. So I just fixed it a little bit before I started assembling all of the other pieces on here. So I'm going to attach that palm tree onto the side there, making sure only to put glue where I want it to touch and stick. And then I will add Santa in here with some actual liquid adhesive. And if I'm fast enough, I can move him around to make sure that his little hat isn't poking up above that sandhill. And then yes, I played with it for a while because I got to make sure that the paper remembers what it's supposed to do. I did dig through my stash of already colored images and kind of found some coordinating ones. So I'm just using up stuff that I'd already colored and was in my little set. And I wouldn't have had to go and cut around this one. I don't know why I did. I was kind of thinking of doing the whole thing, and then I was like, I'm not gonna cut around the little sandals. So I just tucked them underneath that sunscreen bottle because obviously Santa is going to be pasty white, being from the North Pole. And then I did cut out some of those little puffs or tufts of grass that come with that palm tree die set out of that glitter cardstock as well, just to kind of bring that green glitter down to the bottom of my card and break up that brown a little bit. And then I thought about putting like the little stockings. I didn't have a little crab that was fitting. I thought it'd be really cute to put a crab inside of the little mini stockings, but I didn't have anything in my stash that was quite small enough to do that. I probably could have maybe done a shell or something in them, but let's be real, and I just didn't want to color any more things. So then I needed to figure out my sentiment because I really didn't place anything on there. So I'm pulling out some of my tinsel glittery stuff. I wasn't exactly sure how this was gonna look. So I am using some personal stamp exchange embossing tinsel that I got from Nanny last year. I'm stamping my image or my sentiment here with some VersaFine black ink. And then I'm going to add that glitter to it. Now, here's the thing. You know how tinsel glitter kind of sticks to everything. And I just wasn't in love with how that sentiment turned out. And I'm never worried about it not turning out because I can always make a banner and, you know, cover up that stamped oopsies. And I thought about doing the glitter cardstock. I thought it would be really pretty, but you just couldn't see the sentiment on there at all. So I'm just going to take a piece of scratch white here, and then I will do the same thing here, but instead of using a glitter embossing powder, I just went in with a black. And then I will heat set that. And once that is heat set, I am going to just take a coordinating alcohol marker over the top of it to kind of match the red on my Santa hat. I felt it needed another pop of red here. So I'm just using some of those same colors that I used for Santa. And then figuring out where I want the cuts. And then I just did a fishtail at the end. Instead of using a die cut, you don't need the die cut to do it. You can do it on your own and it's going to look perfectly fine. And so then I went over that with a glimmer pen just to give it a little bit more of that gloss and glitter because I wanted it to kind of match that glittery tree. So once that's done, I'm going to play with it a little bit more. And I decided it needed something tucked in that little fold on the side. It just, when it was all the way open, it was missing a pop of color there. So I did die cut another one of those grass tufts from that green glitter cardstock and added that into that folded area there so it sticks out a little bit. And then I'm going to come in with some glossy accents here and add some gloss on top of my ornaments. I mean, they have the glitter, so they already were sparkly, but I wanted them to have that glass effect. And they look absolutely gorgeous with that glitter underneath once it is dry. And then, of course, I had to add some glossy effects to the bottle of sunscreen. And then what do we do when we feel that our card is complete? We play with it some more because it's an interactive card and I need to get my joy out of creating interactive cards and playing with them. So I play with it a lot before I give it away. I want to make sure that it works, it holds up, all of those things. So that is my creation for today. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please consider subscribing to the Crescent Creation YouTube channel as well as the Inky and Scrappy YouTube channel. I hope you have a fabulous holiday season with your family and friends. And thank you so much for stopping by.